Well, that was an interesting storm that ran through here Sunday night, a couple of days ago. It came through hot and hard, but fortunately the damage here wasn't too bad. I do have a little bit of cleanup that I've got to do today. The worst of it is the poor little elderberry bush here that I'm going to have to trim up and clean up so that the damage doesn't get any worse. Anyway, I am Vicki Manitou Okos and welcome. So let's take a look at how I'm going to clean up this storm damage. Well, so I'm going to try to give a little closer look to the elderberry bush. You can see right down in there. Okay. So we're going to clean that up. Okay, the rest of that looks a little bit rough, but I think it will be just fine. So the next thing that I'm going to do is sit here and trim up some of these elderberry trimmings and see if they'll root for me. There we go. That's the part that I'm going to rip. So here's another branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right there, right below a node. And trim off the lower branches. And trim off the excess at the top. And that's the part that I'm going to try and rip. Now this is not ideal because this is greenwood. I'm going to try it anyway. Okay, what I don't want is the bits that are flowering. So right where below where the leaf node is. Trim off the lower leaves, and I'm going to trim right there, and that's the part that I'm going to try and root. See where this one is starting to flower, that's not going to be a good one to try and root. Okay, that one is flowering. Now this one looks like this might be a good one to try and root. So I'm going to cut that right there. And trim those bottoms off. If you've got a plant that you want to try and propagate, even if you got to trim it up, even if it's not the ideal time, you might as well give it a try. So that's the elderberry, and I'm going to wander around the property and show you the rest of the damage from the storm. All right, there it is, the elderberry in the sand propagation tray. All I did was trim it up and put it in the tray, and there's the ones ready to plant, pot on up. See, that is more of a hardwood cutting, and that's actually a better cutting than the softwood cutting. And then there is the cuttings that I took today. So we'll see if they root. If they don't, no big deal. If they are, great. So sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. All right, let's go take a look at the rest of the damage. So there wasn't really anything significant here on the property, but there are some things that I do have to take care of. So we come out to the back around past the annual gardens, which are doing beautifully. The rain is just so sweet for the garden today. Okay, now that is a young sumac tree, and that needed to be cut out anyway, and I was going to wait until September to do that when the grapes were ripe, but because that was loaded down with grapevine, the storm took that out. You can see where it broke those branches, so that's going to have to come down a lot faster. So this is just loaded with grapes. I was hoping to wait until September. This is a wild grape, so it's sour, very intensely flavored, but it makes beautiful, beautiful juice and jellies. So we'll see if I take that tree down before those grapes are ripe or not. Either way, this is the wild grapevine, is what I use to make baskets. So whether I harvest this early or whether I wait till they're ripe, that'll be useful. Looky there. Looky there. We have a friend today. All right. This is the abandoned lot anyway. Oh my. Look what I'm going to be doing next week. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Those are black raspberries. Okay, now, this is the other tree that the storm took down. So that's another one that has to come down so the garden gets plenty of sunlight. So this is all going to get, this is the blackberry patch that I forage in. But these trees, this is what blackberry and raspberry does, is it gives space for the forest to expand. But I do not want that forest expanding in this area. Even though this is an abandoned lot, it still needs to be managed for a good garden in Anna Marie's space. So I'm going to get the worm towers and the next, oh man, look at all that. The storm just really tore that up. But at any rate, so my next priority after cleaning up the elderberry is to work on getting phase 2 of Anna Marie's garden, which is this area right now that we're working on. And all of this area is, all that is just weighting down the cardboard so it kills back the grass. Okay, so those will get moved. This is the pathway right here. That'll get covered with wood chips. And when I get the fence in, we're going to move these beds over to the fence. And then the blue barrels we're going to do a couple more barrels in this row right here. And then we're going to do a row that's temporary there, holding the cardboard down. But we're going to do a row about right in here for more of a shady type stuff. And then we'll do something else with the rest of this area. So that all that she has to mow is around the fire. So that is the cleanup from the storm. And today, rest of the day, I'm going to be getting those barrels ready for the planters and the worm tower class.